Julen Lopetegui's appointment as West Ham United's manager signals a fresh direction for the club, with the seasoned tactician intent on transforming their style of play. Lopetegui, renowned for his tactical acumen and emphasis on fluid, disciplined football, is poised to enhance West Ham's performances across the board. His goal will be to mould the Hammers into a more cohesive and dynamic side, driving the club to greater success in the Premier League. Here is how you can recreate his tactics in FC24. To start the Premier League season off, Julen Lopetegui has opted for his West Ham side to be deployed in a 4-1-4-1 system. Now, he has tried out several different formations if we stretch it back to the pre-season, where he tried various different 4-back formations or even a 3-back system. But I think with the personnel that's been brought in, a 4-1-4-1 does suit the side, having Rodriguez play in that middle of the field role, being the DM, being the guy who dictates the pace of play. And it will also allow the fullbacks to bomb forward and be very good attacking fullbacks in those wide flanks. This means that you'll also see a 3-1-5-1 system formulate when you have the ball in your possession and you are looking to create your attacking outlets. Julen Lopetegui has proven in the past that he can adapt his style of play, utilizing the personnel in the squad and trying to get the best out of them. Now, we saw versus Aston Villa that they were quite prone to playing the longer balls and behind, trying to utilize the speed and the pace of their wingers and their front man in Mikel Antonio. So that is why for the tactical vision, I have set this to kick and rush. Against Crystal Palace as well, we saw a lot of elements of kick the ball long and have the pace of your forward line try and exploit the opposition's back line with their direct runs in behind. So a kick and rush approach does suit Julen Lopetegui's West Ham tactics. Now, for the defense and the defensive style, I have set this to balance, as it will look to maintain the team's natural structure, the 4-1-4-1 system, or you might even see a 4-4-2 system formulate, having the likes of a Thomas Souček or potentially a Paquetá join the striker up front and look to press and probe every now and then, but they aren't really focused in trying to press the opposition's back line. It's more about maintaining a structured approach, and then once the ball enters the midfield zones, looking to try and capitalize on any mishaps or mistakes in those central areas and win the ball back and then progress it up the field with swift transitions. You'll see for the team's width, I have set this to 30, allowing for a good man-v-man type defensive structure to occur, but also a very condensed man-v-man type structure, forcing the opposition out wide more times not, allowing them to try and beat you with a potential cross or a cutback. And due to the fact that West Ham do have a lot of tall physical bodies, it is very difficult to try and beat that team with the aerial duels or the crosses into the box, because you've got a very good goalkeeper that can claim those aerial threats, as well as having very capable centre-backs and defensive midfielders who are also very well adapted to being able to clear their lines. As for the team's depth, I have set this to 40, initiating a mid-block approach in the middle of the pitch. Now, it will be a slightly deeper mid-block, and that will be to try and protect the likes of Kilman, Mavropanos, or even Todibo, although Todibo does have a lot of recovery pace. So I would imagine that when he does start a lot more games, you will see that backline press slightly higher up the field, and maybe a slightly higher mid-block would be initiated. But this is to try and protect the backline from not being exploited or exposed from the swift counterattacks in the Premier League. But also, it will have them in the middle areas of the field looking to try and contribute to the potential offensive outlet that you might see from a Max Kilman driving into the midfield zones. The offensive style of play under Lopetegui will be set to long ball as well as direct passing. Quite often you will see the likes of a Paquetá or maybe even a Guido Rodriguez play those longer balls in behind, looking for the forwards to run a more direct path into the backline areas, trying to attack those spaces. And in turn, that will open up a lot more space centrally for potentially a Jarrod Bowen to work with, or maybe even a Kudus to work into from that left-hand side. And you will see Paquetá and Guido Rodriguez and Souček have a lot more space centrally due to the fact that the opposition will be trying to mark in behind them, giving them a lot more space centrally for your midfield to try and dictate and direct their attacking phases of play. The offensive width for the team I have set to 70, as you would often see the likes of Emerson combined with Kudus down the left-hand side and Bowen combined with either Soufal or Aaron Wan-Bissaka down the right. Now, essentially, especially against Crystal Palace, as we saw West Ham get a bit more confident with their style of play, we saw the likes of Lopetegui demand the likes of Jarrod Bowen and Kudus to be a bit more narrow, attack those zones more so in and around the central areas of the park, looking to combine very effectively with Fulkrug or whoever was up front. Maybe it could have been Antonio. Now, essentially, that would open up a lot more space down at the flanks for the fullbacks to bomb forward and attack those wider spaces, creating overloads in those wider zones, which is exactly what you will be trying to do with this side. Now, one element that will not change under the new manager will be the ability to convert those chances created from those wider areas of the field, whether it's a cross or a cutback. You want to have ample opportunities in and around that attacking zone to convert those chances, and therefore it should be set to 7, allowing for 3 to 4 players to be in and around that attacking area. Now, essentially, with this setting in place, it will encourage the front 3 to get into the box and attack, of course, but have the addition of one extra midfielder. The likes of Tomas Souček has been an aerial threat in the past, and he is looking to get into the box a fair amount and add a bit more physicality into those attacking zones. Finally, the corners as well as the free kicks should be set to 4. Onto the individual player instructions, we'll start off at the base with Areola, who will be set to come for crosses as he has been very assertive and dominant in the aerial duels. And you'll see here, because you aren't playing the highest of lines, you're playing a deeper mid block, that you will set him to maintaining a balanced role, having the likes of Kilman, Mavropanos, or whoever you have in that back line deal with the potential breaks in behind it. So you don't really need the goalkeeper to do too much. And Areola is very good at being able to stay on his line and make those 1v1 saves. The two centre-backs in Kilman as well as Mavropanos will be set to their base set of instructions. You don't need to do too much with it. Now, for the likes of Kilman, I did note that he does collect the ball in those deeper zones and drive with it forward, creating vast overloads higher up the field. And you will see that whenever the likes of a Mavropanos or a Kilman, leave their natural positioning, the likes of Guido Rodriguez will drop into that centre-back role, which is exactly what we have seen from West Ham so far this season. So you want them to be able to collect the ball under pressure in that first phase of the build-up and then progress it forward either with a pass or driving with it further forward. Now, the defensive midfielder will have a very pivotal role in both the offensive and defensive phases of play. He will look to drop in between the two centre-backs, formulating a very good solid back three when the offense is building up, and this will allow the fullbacks to bomb forward and not have as much defensive restrictions as what they have had in the past. But also, he will be very important in collecting the ball in those deeper spaces and progressing it forward with either a driving run or potentially just a quick pass into the forward line. Now, for his instructions, his defensive behavior will be left on balance, and this will allow him to really maintain that central role, dropping in between the two centre-backs more times than not. The attacking support will be set to stay back while attacking, as well as the interceptions will be left on normal. Finally, you want him to be the deep-lying playmaker, dropping into those half spaces, collecting the ball in those deeper zones, looking to turn and progress it forward either with a driving run, like I've already mentioned, or potentially a pass forward into one of the two number 8s, or maybe even one of the wider players. And then for the defensive position, you want him covering the central regions, and that will more or less allow him to maintain that central role very nicely. Now, also for his natural positioning, I have dropped his position ever so slightly further down, and this will allow him to successfully be very involved in that defensive three-man line. For the two fullbacks in Emerson and Soufal, they'll be set to join the attack and overlap, always looking to bomb forward and create that width down either flank, and you will see quite often that they will look to combine very effectively with the two wider midfielders that are just in front of them. They'll look to really whip in crosses and cutback opportunities from those wider zones, providing a lot of the attack for the side. And you'll see here for the likes of Soufal, he'll have the same role and instructions as well. The role of your two number 8s in Souček as well as Paqueta will have very different roles from one another. The likes of Souček will be a bit more of a box crashing midfielder, allowing him to get into those attacking zones, use his aerial threats to the team's advantage, whereas the likes of Lucas Paqueta, your left number 8, he'll be an all-phase midfielder looking to contribute in those deeper areas in that first phase of the build-up play, dropping deep, helping support Guido Rodriguez, or he could be a playmaker in the final third looking to help facilitate the offense. Now, as we take a look at the likes of Lucas Paqueta and what his instructions would be, the attacking support will be set to balance, and this will help him be a bit more of a box-to-box presence, dropping deep like I mentioned, helping support in that first phase of the build-up, or being slightly high up the field and contributing to the attack. The support on crosses will be set to stay on the edge of the box, as he does tend to stay in those areas of the field looking to try and facilitate crosses or cutback opportunities, trying to supply the other attackers in and around those attacking zones. The interceptions will be set to normal, although if you would like to, you can set this to aggressive, as he does have quite a bit of bite when trying to win the ball back for his side. And then finally, the defensive position should be set to cover the wing, paired up with the positioning freedom of Lucas Paqueta set to free roam. Onto the other number 8, and like I mentioned, the likes of Tomas Souček will be a box-crashing midfielder, so in order to successfully replicate that, you want to try and encourage him to get into those attacking zones as much as possible for you to obviously go ahead and try and utilize with potential crosses or cutback opportunities, and therefore he should be set to get forward as well as get into the box. So when he does get forward, you want him in and around those attacking zones, either winning the aerial duels or simply being a potential attacker in and around those attacking zones. The interceptions will be set to normal, and then finally cover the wing and stick to position. Now out wide to the likes of Jared Bowen as well as Kudus, and they will also have slightly differing roles. Now, for the role of Jared Bowen, he'll be set to come back on defense, as he does tend to drop quite deep at times and help formulate a back five. You will see Bowen popping up in the right wing back role, looking to try and defend against the opposition wide players, preventing those crosses or cutback opportunities from those wider zones. And you will see here for the chance creation, I have left it on maintaining a balance width, allowing him to either attack the wide spaces or the half spaces, especially when the right fullback will get forward and look to try and attack from those wider zones. The support runs is going to be set to getting behind, as Bowen does have a lot of pace, and you do want to try and use that with his direct running abilities to get in behind and trying to exploit the opposition. Finally, the support on crosses should be set to balance, allowing him to sometimes be in the box, other times on the edge of the box, looking to try and help facilitate any potential attacking movements from the edge of the area. The left midfielder in Mohamed Kudus will be set to maintaining a basic defensive support. He is known to drop deep at times and help support the fullback, but he can also be the outlet ball for the side, looking to collect the ball, drive at the opposition, and create those swift transition moments. Just like with Bowen, though, he will be set to maintaining a balance with, looking to try and attack the half spaces or out wide, and especially when the likes of Emerson does bomb forward, you will see him come inside a bit more, collect the ball, and combine very frequently with the likes of Lucas Paqueta. The support runs I have set to target player, as Kudus is a player that doesn't look to make those aggressive, assertive runs in behind. He is more of a player that looks to collect the ball back into the opposition and then drive at that opposition opposing fullback, and look to try and get the best of them with quick interchanging passes with the players in and around him. Finally, the interceptions will be set to normal, and then the support on crosses will be left on balance. He does look to get into the box every now and then, but he can also be a creative force on the edge of the area, looking to try to help facilitate the offense for the rest of his side. And then finally, onto the role of the striker, and we have seen this season that West Ham have used two different strikers, Mikel Antonio being one, and Nicholas Fulkirk being the other. Now, for the role of Fulkirk, we have set him to maintaining a balance with, as he does tend to drift slightly wider of those central marks, but also still presenting a good physical battle for the opposition centre-backs. And that is why I have set him to maintaining a target player approach. He does tend to back into the opposition, link up the play very effectively with the two number 8s just in behind him, or even the wider players who might come a bit more central. The interceptions will be set to normal, and then finally you want his defensive supports to be set to basic. Whereas the likes of Mikel Antonio, when he's been deployed, he will be set to maintaining a drift wide approach as well as getting behind. Now, he does possess a lot of physicality. We have seen that in the past from him, where he can also choose to back into the opposition, link up the play. But he's got a lot of speed and he's got a lot of pace compared to the likes of Fulkirk, so we will see him looking to make those runs down the wider channels, looking to try and vacate those central zones for the likes of a Paqueta or even a Thomas Souček, to gain those central areas and try and attack those central zones. And there you go, people. That is how I would go ahead and recreate West Ham United's tactics under their new manager in Julen Lopetegui. I do hope you have enjoyed this video, and if you don't mind, please do consider smashing that like button. It helps the algorithm out, it helps me grow as a YouTube content creator, and it just helps the channel overall. And I mean, the next step would be trying to convince you guys to subscribe to the channel, because we are on the road to 10,000 subs. We've recently hit 9, so the next milestone is going to be 10. So that would be fantastic. If you haven't already, please do hit that big red subscription button. We also have a Brom Squad Discord server, so if you have a Discord account, please do consider joining up, and I would welcome you into the conversations that we have. We chat everything FC24. We're going to be chatting everything FC25 at some point. And yeah, we also chat everything real life football. So if you don't mind clicking that, the link will be down below, or if you would like to at least consider that, the link will be down below in the description, and you can go ahead and join up. Anyways, until the next time, until the next one, I hope you have a damn great day, and I'm out of here. Peace.